Liam nodded numbly and followed him out of the control room. As they made their way through the underground labyrinth, the tension in the air was palpable. Every corner they turned felt like it might be their last. Every sound made Liam's heart race, expecting the Foundation's agents to burst through the doors at any moment. They finally reached another stairwell that led up to the surface. As they climbed, Liam's mind raced with questions. How had the Foundation found them so quickly? Was there a mole in the Resistance, feeding information to the enemy? Or was the Foundation just that powerful, able to track them no matter where they went? When they emerged onto the street, the city was quiet, the moon casting long shadows on the pavement. The group moved quickly, sticking to the alleyways and avoiding open areas. Liam's pulse pounded in his ears as he followed closely behind, his every sense on high alert. But just as they were about to round the corner, a sudden burst of light illuminated the alleyway, blinding Liam for a moment. He squinted against the brightness, his heart leaping into his throat as he saw them agents from the Foundation, their dark suits and cold expressions unmistakable. "Get down!" Mark shouted, pulling Liam to the ground just as gunfire erupted. The air was filled with the deafening sound of bullets ricocheting off brick walls, and Liam's body trembled with fear. He had never been in a situation like this before. He had never been this close to death. The weight of the moment pressed down on him, suffocating him with the realization that his life was in danger. Real danger. The Resistance fighters returned fire, their movements swift and precise. But the Foundation's agents were relentless. They moved with a cold efficiency, closing in on Liam and the others with every passing second. Liam's mind raced as he pressed himself against the wall, trying to stay as small as possible. This couldn't be happening. This wasn't real. But the cold concrete beneath his fingers, the smell of gunpowder in the air, and the terror in his chest told him otherwise. Mark ducked down beside him, his eyes scanning the alleyway for an escape route. "We're not going to make it if we stay here," he muttered. "We need to move." "But where?" Liam asked, his voice shaking. Mark's eyes flicked toward a fire escape on the side of the building. "There," he said, pointing. "It's our only chance." Without another word, Mark grabbed Liam's arm and pulled him to his feet. They sprinted toward fire escape, sound of gunfire still ringing in their ears. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as he climbed the rickety metal stairs, his legs trembling with exhaustion and fear. When they reached the rooftop, Liam collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. Mark crouched beside him, keeping a watchful eye on Ali below. "They're not going to stop," he said, his voice grim. "Not until they have you." Liam didn't doubt that. He had seen the look in the Foundation's agents' eyes. They were cold, emotionless, and completely focused on their mission. They wouldn't stop until he was captured or dead. As they crouched on the rooftop, the city stretched out before them, a maze of streets and buildings bathed in the eerie glow of the moonlight. It was strangely beautiful, but Liam couldn't appreciate it. Not with death so close. Mark turned to him, his expression serious. "There's something you need to know," he said, his voice low. "Something I haven't told you yet." Liam frowned, his heart skipping a beat. "What is it?" Mark hesitated for a moment before speaking. "You're not the only one, Liam. There are others like you, others who are immune to the Foundation's control." Liam's eyes widened in shock. "What? How? Where are they?" "They're scattered, hiding just like you," Mark explained. "But the Foundation is hunting them down, one by one. And if they get you, they'll get the others too." The weight of Mark's words hit Liam like a freight train. He wasn't just fighting for his own life, he was fighting for the lives of others, people he had never met, but who were just like him. The responsibility was overwhelming. Mark's eyes burned with determination. "We have to find them, Liam. We have to bring them together before the Foundation can wipe us all out." Liam nodded, his resolve hardening. He didn't know how they were going to do it, but one thing was clear: the fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The night stretched on, the air thick with tension, and the threat of the Foundation looming ever closer. Liam could feel the weight of it pressing down on him as he and Mark crouched on the rooftop, the distant city lights flickering like stars against the horizon. The knowledge that he wasn't alone, that there were others like him, had brought a mix of hope and fear. It meant there was a chance to fight back, to stop the Foundation, but it also meant the stakes were even higher. If he failed, countless lives would be lost. "There's something else," Mark said quietly. "Something you need to know before we go." Liam frowned, his heart skipping a beat. "What is it?" Mark hesitated, glancing around the room before speaking. "There's a traitor in the resistance. Someone's been feeding information to the Foundation." Liam's blood ran cold. A traitor? Someone within their ranks, someone who had been working alongside them, was helping the Foundation? The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. It explained how the Foundation had been able to track them so easily, how they had always been one step ahead. "Who?" Liam asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mark shook his head. "We don't know yet. But we will. And when we do, we'll deal with them." Liam nodded, his mind racing. The thought of a traitor in their midst added a new layer of fear to an already terrifying situation. He would have to be careful, trust no one, keep his guard up at all times. The hours that followed were a blur of preparation and tension. The group gathered weapons, made final plans, and steeled themselves for the battle ahead. Liam could feel the weight of the coming conflict pressing down on him, the knowledge that everything hinged on what they did next. When the time finally came, they moved as one, slipping out of the safe house and into the night. The streets were eerily quiet, the city seeming to hold its breath in anticipation of the fight to come. Liam's heart raced as they approached the Foundation's facility, a massive, imposing structure surrounded by high walls and security cameras. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for. The group split into teams, each with a specific target inside the facility. Liam and Mark were tasked with infiltrating the main control room, where they would disable the security systems and open the way for the others. It was a dangerous mission, but Liam felt a strange sense of calm as they approached the building. This was his chance to fight back, to take control of his own fate. They moved quickly, slipping past the guards and into the facility. The interior was cold and sterile, the walls lined with screens displaying surveillance feeds and data. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as they made their way deeper into the building, the weight of the mission pressing down on him with every step. But just as they reached the control room, something went wrong. An alarm blared, and red lights flashed throughout the facility. Liam's blood ran cold as he realized they had been discovered. Mark cursed under his breath, his eyes scanning the room for an escape route. "We need to move. Now." But before they could make a move, the doors to the control room slammed shut, trapping them inside. Liam's heart raced as he realized they were caught. The Foundation had known they were coming. The traitor had struck again. The sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway outside, and Liam's pulse quickened as the door slowly creaked open. A figure stepped into the room, their face obscured by shadows. But as they stepped into the light, Liam's breath caught in his throat. It was Mr. Davidson. Liam's mind reeled as he tried to process what he was seeing. Mr. Davidson, the man who had been kidnapped, the man he had tried to save, was standing in front of him, alive and unharmed. But something was wrong. The look in Mr. Davidson's eyes was cold, devoid of the warmth and kindness Liam had once known. "You?" Liam whispered, his voice barely audible. Mr. Davidson smiled, but it was a smile that sent a chill down Liam's spine. "I'm sorry, Liam," he said, his voice calm and measured, "but it had to be done." Liam shook his head, disbelief and betrayal flooding his senses. You were working with them all this time?" Mr. Davidson's smile faded, replaced by a look of regret. "I didn't have a choice. The Foundation, they have ways of making you do things, of controlling your thoughts, your actions. I tried to resist, but in the end, I had to do what they wanted." Liam's heart ached with the weight of the betrayal. He had trusted Mr. Davidson, had risked everything to save him, and now he realized it had all been for nothing. The Foundation had been using him from the start. But before Liam could respond, Mark stepped forward, his eyes burning with anger. "You may have betrayed us," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "but it's not over yet. We can still stop them." Mr. Davidson's expression darkened, and for a moment, Liam saw a flicker of fear in his eyes. But it was gone as quickly as it had appeared, replaced by cold determination. "You can try," Mr. Davidson said, his voice cold. "But the Foundation is stronger than you think. They've already won." Liam's heart sank as the reality of the situation hit him. They were trapped, outnumbered, and betrayed. The odds were stacked against them, and for the first time, Liam felt the crushing weight of defeat. But then, something shifted. A flicker of defiance sparked within him, and he realized that it wasn't over. Not yet. As long as he was still breathing, as long as there was still a chance, he would fight. For himself, for the others, for the people who had been lost to the Foundation's control. With a surge of determination, Liam met Mr. Davidson's gaze, his voice steady. "We'll see about that." As Liam stood there, facing the man who'd been a mentor and ally, a mix of anger and sorrow swirled within him. The weight of betrayal was heavy, but in that moment, he felt something else, an unyielding resolve to reclaim what had been stolen from him. From everyone affected by the Foundation's ruthless machinations, the air was thick with tension, the blaring alarms underscoring the urgency of their situation. Mark's posture shifted, a clear signal that he was ready for a fight. "You're not going to win this, Davidson. We're not afraid of you or the Foundation," he declared, his voice firm and unwavering. But even as he spoke, the shadows loomed larger in the corners of the control room, dark shapes ready to spring forth at any moment. Mr. Davidson regarded them with a look of cold disdain, his demeanor now that of a man utterly consumed by the very organization he once sought to dismantle. "You think you're fighting against a system? You're fighting against something far greater than you can imagine. The Foundation isn't just an organization, it's a network of power that can reach anywhere, and it won't hesitate to crush any resistance. Then will be the resistance," Liam shot back, drawing on every ounce of courage he could muster. The disbelief in Mr. Davidson's eyes only fueled his fire. "You've been indoctrinated, twisted by fear and manipulation. We can still break that hold if we fight together." But Mr. Davidson shook his head, stepping back slightly. "You don't understand. I am beyond redemption now. I've seen the truth, and it's terrifying. You'll never be able to free me or anyone else. The Foundation controls everything." In that moment, the weight of Liam's words hung in the air, each syllable laced with urgency. He could feel Mark's tension beside him, the two of them standing resolutely against a former ally turned foe. "We don't have to do this," Liam urged, desperation creeping into his tone. "You can help us. You can turn this around." But Mr. Davidson's gaze hardened. "You think you can change the world with a few idealistic notions? This is reality, kid. You either adapt or get crushed." As if on cue, the control room doors burst open, revealing several armed agents of the Foundation, their expressions as cold and calculating as Mr. Davidson's. "What's going on in here?" one of them barked, eyes narrowing as they took in the scene. "Get back," Mark shouted, positioning himself protectively in front of Liam. "We'll fight you if we have to." But the odds were against them. The agents filed in, their weapons trained on the two rebels, an imposing wall of authority, determined to snuff out any flicker of hope. Liam felt the rush of panic rise within him, but he forced himself to stay grounded. He had to think, had to act. In a split second, Liam recalled the makeshift explosive they had crafted earlier in their preparations, designed as a last resort to distract and disrupt. He subtly nodded to Mark, who caught on immediately, understanding the plan without words. Their training, their shared experiences, had forged an unbreakable bond that fueled their instincts in moments like this. With a swift motion, Liam reached into his bag and fumbled for the device. "Mark, cover me," he yelled as he began to activate it, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The agents moved to apprehend them, but Mark stepped forward, his face set in determination, firing off a few rounds to create chaos. Liam felt the rush of air as the device activated, a blinding flash erupting from it, engulfing the room in a burst of light and sound. He barely caught a glimpse of Mr. Davidson's startled expression before everything went haywire. The agent staggered back, momentarily disoriented, and Liam seized the opportunity, sprinting toward the exit with Mark hot on his heels. "Go, go, go," Mark shouted as they bolted out of the control room, the alarm still blaring, drowning out the chaos behind them. They raced down the hallway, ducking into side corridors, and using their knowledge of the facility to evade capture. The walls felt like they were closing in, each moment stretched thin with the anticipation of being caught. As they navigated the labyrinthine hallways, Liam's heart pounded not only from the exertion, but from the reality of their predicament. They were fighting against an enemy that was vast and powerful, one that could not only destroy them, but also erase everything they stood for. Each turn they took felt like a step deeper into the abyss, but they were determined to fight until the very end. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a small service door that led outside. Mark pushed it open, and they stumbled into the cool night air, breathing heavily as they took in their surroundings. They were in a dimly lit alleyway, the faint sounds of the city drifting in from the streets beyond. "We need to regroup," Liam gasped, glancing over his shoulder. He could already hear shouts and footsteps echoing in the distance, their pursuers hot on their trail. "We can't stay here." Mark nodded, scanning the area. "There's a transit station just a block away. We can slip onto a train and lose them in the system." Without wasting another moment, they took off down the alley, their pace quickening as they weaved through the city's underbelly. The tension in the air felt almost palpable, each step resonating with the urgency of their mission. They needed to find the others, regroup, and devise a new plan to take down the Foundation once and for all. As they reached the station, the hustle and bustle of late-night commuters became a comforting noise amidst the chaos they had left behind. Liam's heart raced as they blended into the crowd, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy, even as they were anything but. They approached the turnstiles, the familiar sounds of trains rumbling beneath them, offering a fleeting sense of hope. Over there, Mark pointed toward a train that was just pulling into the station, the doors sliding open with a mechanical hiss. Without hesitation, they pushed through the turnstiles and boarded the train, the rush of air from the departing vehicle momentarily distracting them from the hunt that lay just beyond their reach. Inside, the train was sparsely populated, a few late-night travelers oblivious to the storm of danger that had just unfolded. Liam and Mark found a seat near the back, their breaths coming in rapid gasps as they exchanged glances, silently assessing their next move. "We need to call the others," Liam whispered urgently, pulling out his phone. But as he unlocked the screen, he saw a flurry of notifications from the group's encrypted chat, a mixture of panic strategy and the stark reality of their situation. They had been on high alert, preparing for a fight that now seemed inevitable. Mark leaned closer, his brow furrowing. "They're in trouble. We need to get to them, but how?" Liam quickly scanned through the messages, piecing together the fragments of their communication. "They're regrouping at the safe house. They're expecting us," he said, determination solidifying within him. "We have to get back there and inform them about Davidson and the traitor." The train began to move, rumbling through underground tunnels, world outside dark and shifting. As they traveled, Liam couldn't shake feeling of impending doom that loomed over them, tension coiling tighter with every passing moment. Just as they were beginning to feel a sense of relief, the train jolted to a sudden stop, the lights flickering ominously. An announcement crackled over the intercom, barely audible above the din of confusion. "Please remain calm. We are experiencing technical difficulties. An engineer will be with you shortly." "What now?" Mark muttered, glancing nervously toward the exit. Before Liam could respond, the doors slid open, revealing a dimly lit tunnel that seemed to swallow the light from the train. And then they saw them figures emerging from the shadows, clad in dark uniforms that could only belong to the Foundation. "Get down!" Liam shouted, instinctively pulling Mark behind a seat as gunfire erupted in the narrow corridor, shattering the brief illusion of safety. The passengers screamed, confusion erupting into panic as they scrambled to escape the chaos. Liam's heart raced as he realized they were trapped. The only exit lay behind them, and ahead, the Foundation's agents were advancing, weapons drawn and faces set in determination. "We need to fight," he yelled to Mark, adrenaline surging through his veins. Mark nodded, his expression hardening. "We can't let them take us. We have to make a stand." They scrambled to their feet, adrenaline coursing through them as they positioned themselves near the back of the train. As the agents approached, Liam could see the fear and resolve in the eyes of the other passengers. They were all in this together, whether they liked it or not. As the first agent stepped onto the train, Liam hurled himself forward, tackling the man to the ground. The sudden confrontation sent shockwaves through the small space, and Mark followed suit, engaging another agent in a flurry of movement. The chaos that ensued felt surreal, the clash of bodies, the sounds of gunfire, and the cries of fear blending into a cacophony that fueled their determination. But just as they began to gain the upper hand, the lights flickered once more, plunging the train into darkness. Liam felt a surge of panic as the noise escalated, the shadows closing in around them. He could hear Mark shouting commands, urging the remaining passengers to take cover, to protect themselves. In the chaos, Liam spotted a door leading to the conductor's compartment. He sprinted toward it, desperate to regain control of the situation. As he pulled the door open, he was met with the conductor's shocked expression. "What the hell is going on?" the man exclaimed, fear etched on his face. "There's no time," Liam urged, his heart racing. "We need to override the system. Get us out of here." Without hesitation, the conductor scrambled to follow Liam's lead, his fingers flying over the control panel as alarms blared around them. Liam felt the tension ease slightly as the train began to move again, surging forward through the tunnel. The dim lights flickered back to life, revealing the chaos behind him. "We're losing them," Mark shouted, dodging another agent's attack, his face set in a fierce determination. "Hold them off," Liam yelled back, focusing on the conductor. "We need to make this train faster." As the train rumbled ahead, Liam felt a sense of urgency that propelled him forward. They had to get to the next station, to regroup with the others, to stop the foundation before it was too late. With the train gaining speed, Liam could hear the shouts of the agents behind him, their pursuit relentless. "Get ready to switch tracks," the conductor shouted, sweat beading on his brow. "We can't let them know where we're going." With a determined nod, Liam returned to the fray, leaping back into the chaos of the train car. The sight of Mark grappling with an agent fueled his resolve, and with a fierce shout, he dove in to help. The fight escalated, punches flying, and bodies colliding in a desperate struggle for survival. Liam felt the adrenaline coursing through his veins as he fought alongside Mark, their movements synchronized as if they had trained for this moment all their lives. The stakes were higher than ever, and every second counted. "Where are the others?" Mark shouted, throwing a punch that sent an agent sprawling. "Regrouping at the safe house," Liam called back, his focus unwavering. "We need to hold them off until we can get there." Just then, the lights flickered again, casting eerie shadows on the walls as the train continued to surge forward. A new wave of agents poured in from the rear, determination etched on their faces, ready to overwhelm them. "Retreat," one of the agents commanded, signaling for backup. "We need to secure this area." Panic surged through the air as the remaining passengers scrambled to escape, their fear palpable. Liam felt the tide of the battle shifting, the overwhelming odds pressing down on them. They needed a plan, a way to turn the tables. "Mark, we have to use the emergency brakes," Liam shouted, his mind racing. "If we can stop the train, we can use the chaos to escape." Mark's eyes lit up with understanding. "Right, let's do it." Together, they fought their way toward the front of the train, determination fueling their every move. With each step, they could feel the weight of their mission bearing down on them, the world outside a blur as they focused on their goal. Finally, they reached the conductor's compartment. Liam pushed the door open, his heart pounding as he saw the conductor frantically working the controls. "We need to hit the emergency brakes now," Liam urged, the sound of approaching agents echoing in his ears. "Are you sure?" The conductor hesitated, fear etched on his face. It could derail the train. Liam felt the urgency rising within him. "It's our only shot. We can't let them take us." With a resigned nod, the conductor pulled the lever and the train screeched to a halt. The sudden jolt threw everyone forward, and the chaos erupted as agents struggled to maintain their balance. "Now, move!" Mark shouted, pushing through the doorway and charging into the fray. Liam followed closely behind, adrenaline pumping through his veins as they fought against the tide of agents, their every move fueled by desperation and hope. They darted through the confused crowd, the sound of their heartbeats pounding in time with the chaos around them. As they made their way toward the back of the train, Liam spotted a narrow exit leading to the platform. "There!" he shouted, pointing toward the door. They surged forward, pushing through the chaos, and as they reached the exit, Liam could hear the sounds of sirens blaring in the distance, a signal of approaching help. But would it be enough? They tumbled out onto the platform, the night air fresh and electric with energy. Liam could see the flickering lights of the city beyond, and his heart raced with the thought of freedom. But their escape was far from over. They had to regroup to find the others before the Foundation caught up to them. "Let's go," Mark shouted, urging Liam forward as they sprinted down the platform. But as they turned the corner, they found themselves face to face with more agents, their expressions grim and determined. "You think you can escape?" One of them sneered, raising his weapon. Liam felt the adrenaline surge as he and Mark skidded to a halt, ready to fight. They were outnumbered, but not outmatched. Together, they could overcome anything. "Fight!" Liam shouted, the weight of the world resting on their shoulders. With that rallying cry, they charged forward, their hearts beating in sync as they faced the oncoming storm. The world around them faded away, leaving only the fight and the hope that they could make a difference. In the ensuing chaos, they fought with everything they had. Each blow landed was a testament to their determination, their resolve to stand against the tide of oppression. Liam's fists flew, the world blurring around him as he focused on the fight ahead. But just as it seemed, they were gaining the upper hand. A flash of light caught Liam's eye, a familiar face emerging from the shadows. It was Sarah, her expression fierce and unwavering. "I'm here," she shouted, rallying the others who had escaped from the facility. Liam felt a surge of hope as they joined forces, their combined strength creating a force to be reckoned with. Together, they pushed against the Foundation's agents, their determination driving them forward. The tide was turning, the odds shifting in their favor. But just as victory seemed within reach, a shadow loomed over them. Mr. Davidson emerged from the chaos, his face a mask of anger and betrayal. "You think you can win?" he shouted, his voice laced with fury. "You're nothing but pawns in a game far bigger than you can comprehend." Liam felt his heart drop as he faced his former mentor. "It doesn't have to be this way, Davidson. You can still turn back." But the man's eyes were filled with cold determination. "I am beyond redemption. The Foundation will crush you, just like they crushed me." Liam felt a chill run down his spine as the battle raged on around them, but he couldn't give up. He wouldn't. They had come too far to back down now. In a sudden surge of inspiration, Liam shouted to the group, "We need to take him down together. This is our chance." With that rallying cry, they charged at Mr. Davidson, united in their fight against the very embodiment of their struggles. The intensity of the moment surged, every heartbeat synchronizing as they fought for their freedom. The confrontation escalated, blows exchanged and determination shining in every eye. In that moment, the stakes were higher than ever. They were fighting not just for themselves, but for everyone who had suffered at the hands of the Foundation. As they pushed forward, Liam could see a glimmer of doubt flicker in Mr. Davidson's eyes. Perhaps there was still a part of him that longed for redemption, that recognized the weight of the choices he had made. But just as hope began to stir, he drew a weapon from his belt, pointing it at the group with a shaking hand. "Stay back," he shouted, desperation tainting his voice. "I will do what must be done." In that critical moment, Liam took a step forward, his heart racing. "You don't have to do this, Davidson. We can fight together. We can end this madness." The air grew still as the tension hung thick. Mr. Davidson's expression shifted, uncertainty, battling against the resolve that had brought him this far. "You don't understand," he spat, his voice trembling. "I'm beyond saving. This is the only way." "No," Liam shouted, the desperation flooding his voice. "There's always a choice. You can choose to fight for what's right." But just as the words left his lips, a sudden commotion erupted behind them. The agents regrouped, their numbers overwhelming, and in that moment, Liam realized the gravity of their situation. They were surrounded, the fight against the Foundation turning into a desperate struggle for survival. With a surge of instinct, Liam grabbed Mark and Sarah, pulling them back as the agents closed in. "We need to get out of here," he yelled, adrenaline coursing through him. The group fought their way through the chaos, every ounce of determination fueling their escape. The shouts and gunfire echoed in the air, a cacophony of chaos as they pushed toward the exit. But just as they reached the door, Liam felt a sharp pain in his side, a searing heat that spread through him. He stumbled, pain washing over him as he turned to see Mr. Davidson standing behind him, a weapon drawn. "You should have known better," he spat, the shadows of betrayal consuming him. But in that moment, something ignited within Liam. He refused to let fear take hold. With one last surge of strength, he pushed himself forward, leading the others out of the building as the world blurred around them. The night air hit him like a wave, a rush of freedom mingled with pain. As they tumbled onto the street, Liam felt the weight of the moment settle over him. They had made it out, but at what cost? "We need to regroup," Sarah shouted, her eyes scanning the street for any sign of safety. "Over there." Mark pointed toward a nearby alley, urgency etched in his voice. They sprinted toward it, their hearts racing as they sought refuge from the chaos they had just escaped. Once inside the alley, they collapsed against the wall, gasping for breath. Liam could feel the blood seeping from his side, the pain threatening to overwhelm him. "We need to stop the bleeding," he gasped, but he could see the fear in their eyes. "We'll find help," Mark assured him, his voice steady. "You're going to be okay." But as they sat in the darkness, the reality of their situation settled in. The foundation was still out there, and they had to stop it before it was too late. The weight of their mission hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the stakes they faced. Liam gritted his teeth, determination flooding through him despite the pain. "We can't let them win. We have to finish what we started." Sarah nodded, her expression fierce. "We'll find a way. Together." And in that moment, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. The bond they had forged through their struggles, the sacrifices they had made, all of it led them to this point. They wouldn't let fear dictate their fate. They would fight for their freedom, for those who had been lost along the way. As they began to strategize their next move, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance, growing closer. They had to act fast. The foundation wouldn't give up easily, and neither would they. With a newfound resolve, they formulated a plan to dismantle the Foundation's operations, to expose the truth to the world. They would gather evidence, rally allies, and take the fight to the heart of the organization. As dawn broke on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city, Liam felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. They were still standing, still fighting, and together they would find a way to end the darkness that had plagued their lives. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they would face them head-on. They had each other, and that made all the difference. As they stepped out of the alley, ready to confront the world once more, Liam took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight ahead. Together, they would rise against the shadows, armed with the knowledge that hope could shine through even the darkest of nights. In the weeks that followed, they worked tirelessly, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They gathered evidence, piecing together the truth about the Foundation and its operations. With each revelation, they felt the weight of their mission intensifying, the stakes rising as they approached their goal. But the Foundation was not idle. It retaliated with a ferocity that left Liam and his team reeling. They faced setbacks and challenges, but they refused to back down. Each defeat only fueled their determination, a testament to their resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. As they delved deeper into the organization, they uncovered shocking secrets: corruption that ran deep within the system, collusion with powerful figures, and a web of deceit that threatened to engulf them all. The revelations shook them to their core, but they remained steadfast, fueled by their desire to bring the truth to light. Through it all, they leaned on one another, their camaraderie blossoming into an unbreakable bond. Liam found strength in Sarah's unwavering resolve, Mark's unwavering loyalty, and the others who had joined their cause. Together, they formed a formidable alliance, united by a common purpose. But as they approached the heart of the Foundation, they knew the stakes had never been higher. Their final confrontation loomed on the horizon, and the risks weighed heavily on their shoulders. They had come so far, but would it be enough? On the day of the operation, a palpable tension filled the air. They gathered in a safe house, exchanging determined glances as they prepared to execute their plan. Each of them had a role to play, and every detail had been meticulously planned. As the sun set, Casting an orange glow over the city, they moved out, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They infiltrated the Foundation's headquarters, navigating the labyrinthine hallways with precision. The stakes were high, but they were ready to face whatever awaited them. Liam led the charge, his resolve unyielding. They moved in unison, every step echoing their determination. As they reached the inner sanctum, they prepared to confront the heart of the organization, their final battle against Mr. Davidson and his inner circle. With a deep breath, Liam pushed open the door, revealing a room filled with tension and hostility. Mr. Davidson stood at the center, flanked by his loyal followers, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. "You think you can stop me?" he spat, venom dripping from his words. Liam stepped forward, his heart racing. "This ends now, Davidson. You can't hide behind your lies any longer. The truth will come to light." The tension in the room crackled, the air thick with anticipation. Davidson sneered, his eyes cold. "You're a fool to think you can challenge me. The Foundation is stronger than you can imagine." But Liam felt a surge of confidence. He had faced insurmountable odds before, and this time would be no different. "Together, we will dismantle everything you've built. You're not invincible." As the confrontation escalated, Liam's team surged forward, the battle erupting in a flurry of chaos. Fists flew, voices raised, as they fought against the odds, fueled by the hope of a brighter future. In the midst of the chaos, Liam locked eyes with Mr. Davidson, determination burning in his gaze. This was it, the moment they had fought for. He couldn't let fear take hold. He had to confront the man who had once been a mentor, who had become a symbol of everything they stood against. With a fierce shout, Liam charged forward, their paths colliding in a storm of emotions. The confrontation was intense, every strike fueled by the weight of betrayal and hope. "You can still change, Davidson," Liam shouted, his voice echoing through the chaos. "It's not too late." But the man's face twisted with rage. "You don't understand. I have sacrificed everything for this." "Sacrifice doesn't justify your actions," Liam retorted, refusing to back down. "You've lost sight of what matters." The battle raged on around them, but in that moment, it was just Liam and Davidson, two opposing forces clashing in a fight for their beliefs. Liam felt the weight of the world pressing down on him, but he wouldn't falter. He had come too far to give up now. With a final surge of strength, Liam landed a blow that sent Davidson staggering back. The man's resolve wavered, doubt creeping into his expression as he struggled to regain his footing. "You think you've won," he hissed, the anger in his voice fading to uncertainty. "No, but I know that together we can build something better," Liam replied, his voice steady. "You can choose to be a part of that." In that moment, Liam saw a flicker of something in Davidson's eyes, a glimmer of humanity beneath the layers of betrayal and anger. But before he could fully process it, the chaos around them intensified, their surroundings shifting as the battle raged on. Liam turned back to his team, their resolve unyielding as they fought against the Foundation's loyalists. With renewed determination, they pressed forward, the tide of the battle shifting in their favor. As the last of the agents fell, a sense of victory surged through them. The fight had been arduous, but they had triumphed against the odds. They had dismantled the Foundation's hold, but the battle wasn't over yet. With Davidson cornered, they knew they had to bring him to justice. Together, they worked to gather evidence, ensuring that the truth would be exposed to the world. They had fought for far too long to let their efforts go in vain. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a warm light over the remnants of the battle, Liam felt a sense of relief wash over him. They had achieved what they set out to do, but more importantly, they had discovered the power of unity, resilience, and hope. In the weeks that followed, as they worked to rebuild and reclaim their lives, the bond they had forged only grew stronger. They became advocates for change, ensuring that the truth about the Foundation's actions would not be forgotten. Liam often reflected on their journey, the struggles they had faced, and the victories they had achieved. It wasn't just about defeating an enemy, it was about discovering their strength, their purpose, and the power of standing together. In the end, their story became one of resilience and hope, a testament to the belief that even in the darkest of times, light could shine through. They had faced their fears, fought against oppression, and emerged stronger than ever. As Liam looked to the future, he knew there would always be challenges ahead, but he also knew they had the strength to face whatever came their way. Together, they would continue to fight for justice, for those who had been silenced, and for a world where hope could flourish. Their journey was just beginning, and with each step forward, they carried the spirit of their struggles with them, a reminder that they were not alone, that together they could rise above the shadows and forge a brighter future for all.